I am David Reyna. My contributions are supported and paid for by Wind River. I'm a proud member of Yocto Project for over a decade. I have been doing either running or a lead helper on the Yocto Project Dev Days, Yocto Project Summit since 2014 in Dusseldorf, and you can thank Luta for that. I'm also a member of the advocacy group and the working group, and to Trevor's point, also training lead. And in that role, I'd like to say three things before I get started. First, I'd like to give a big public thank you to Trevor Warner for taking lead on this summit. I really appreciate it. You've done a great job, and that has really helped me out and freed me to do stuff like this presentation. Secondly, I'd like to invite you, those of you listening, if you'd like to participate in a conference, please join us. Or if you want to take a turn like Trevor did to take a lead in running a conference, we're here to support you, train you, and get you going with that. And we really like you to join us. Thirdly, we're having an initiative to try to index and make more accessible the 10 years of presentations we have in our backlog of all the dev days and summits. And we're trying to move forward on that, make it easier. Two big things. One is a keyword search support in the main page of Yocto Project. And so getting some help in kind of tripping out these presentations and getting their keywords out of that. And also trying to find content that was in presentations that should have also transitioned to mainline documentation. There's a lot of tribal knowledge captured in these presentations, and we should make sure that they are also brought forward into the official documentation. So those are my three commercials. So let's get started. This is a subject passion. We're here at Wind River. It's one of the presentations for the summit around security. So let's jump in. Three things I want to talk about: security response management in general, the SRTool for the CVE Checker, a new initiative to try to bring that to the current Yocto project. And also the third subject, which is something that is painful, therefore expensive, and to us, CV scanners and the package version problem. So I'll focus on the third one and kind of pass through the first two just as things in progress, work in progress. So let's get started. Security response management. Here's the problem. CVE fire hose. There's so many CVEs coming in every day. It's just escalated over the years. And another thing about this chart, as bad as these numbers are, these are not cumulative. These are additive numbers. So the total number of CVEs we're tracking is the sum of all these bars. And then also for the bar, if you're going to try to track CVEs, that's how much you have to deal with every single year. That comes to like 1,200 a week. So it's a big problem, and that's why Marta has been kept very busy, and all of the commercial partners have been very busy with that. So what about the strategies for CVE mitigation? There's three main. One is before the build, where you kind of preemptively try to triage all those CVEs as they are published and fix them before they go into the product. The second strategy is during the build, what I call, is basically scanning the produced image, either as it's being built or post-build using the manifest or package versions, whatever information you have against known CVEs, and then fix those and then scan a second time. The third one is after the build, where you kind of say, well, here's all these deployed images. What are we going to do about them? You kind of scan them as best you can. One popular tool for that, expensive tool, Nessus. And that's out of scope for this discussion, but it's kind of the third rung of trying to mitigate and find CVEs. So let's talk about the situation. Mark Hatley, who I think is on this call, and Ross Burton, they got together a couple of years ago and to try to address the problem of before the build strategy. And the resulting SRTool was coded and contributed by myself to Yocto Project and used heavily by Wind River. Core features are 100% triage of new CVEs, tools that separate the chaff from the wheat, and it's kind of 10% of all the CVEs that come in and how many are possibly affecting us. And that's tricky to do because sometimes a CV will come in for Windows and you say, well, no way, but it could be for Windows Linux subsystem and apply to us regardless. Supporting reviewing and comparing CVEs against alternate data sources, like what does Red Hat think? What do other people think about that CVE? That might be comparable to our situation. Integration with the defect system, in our case, Jira, hopefully someday with Bugzilla with Yocto Project. Background tasks to update all the NVD data and running tasks and analysis, user models, save users, protected data, all that, multiple reports, and again, used by WinRiver for many years. And just a couple screenshots from that version of the SRTool. This is a quick screenshot of the triage page. Here's just two of the many that came in on this day. And so we list the CVEs, the status that are new, information about the description. You can click on that link on the CVE. It'll bring you up to a page that you can see the detail on the CVE. And also something we did was some heuristic keyword searches. Our problem is that with you're looking at brand new CVEs, often there's no information about them beyond the description. There's no package information, the CPEs, what they call. There's no links, there's no patches, there's nothing. So you have just a description to work upon. So one of the things we did was compare all the CVEs that were accepted as vulnerable, all the ones that were not, and try to extract keywords. And so that's what the keyword heuristic is trying to help you look for keywords that might indicate that this is something you can ignore or take seriously. The last column is the potential alternate sources where you can compare your data against alternate people who have spoken about this CVE, just to try to help triage the information. And tight integration with our defect system. Those two things, the triage and the defect integration, has been the main drivers for this for the use of the thing, and for us, WinRiver, to even manage the upfront CVE triage process, because it's a big task. So just a couple things here. You can select which products you think you want to apply this to. You can either mark it as investigate, declare it's not vulnerable, declare it is vulnerable. You can set priority either to what the CVE says, if it says anything. Otherwise, you can override that to a priority. We have our Scrum team, so we can map it to components to kind of get it to the people quickly. So I'll be sharing the CVE triage page in just a moment. Yeah, this is the WinRiver one. So you're getting a treat. That's coming up in just a moment, Michael. And you can create or not create defects against it. And we have a very robust system of how we track CVEs in our JIRA system. So they can be managed by the team and by the managers. However, that's a big pill for Yocto Project to accept. It requires dedicated engineering time. For our lead expert, he takes about 30 minutes a day to triage this, and I think Marta took a stab at it, and it takes time even for an expert, and it's also for a huge catch up and setup for the already existing CVEs. And there's only so many Rosses and so many Mark Hatleys to go around, so it's kind of too big of a thing for Yocto Project to take on. So what do we do? The Yocto Project does have the CVE Checker, which can scan a build as it progresses. So that's pretty cool. And in fact, WinRiver has already adapted the SRTool to audit the results of multiple CVE scanners, because that's a big thing. We do lots of container work from internal WinRiver and also external containers that we bring in. We have to analyze all of them. So it was felt that the SRTool would really help audit all those results and to track the trends, compare the results, and generate reports from management. So the decision, well, let's try adapting that part of the SRTool. Maybe we can use that to help out Yocto Project in the near term. And that's what we did. So that's the second part. SRTool been adapted to import and review CVE Checker results. Default channels are the official auto builder results. And plus, you can directly upload your own CVE Checker results file. And I've made this table driven to add multiple channels in case you have some setup. The idea is that if you do it twice, you're probably going to do it dozens of times. So let's up a channel so it's easy to find those things and create defects out of them, audits out of them. And try to start bringing forward the tools that we developed for triaging CVEs so that we can start using those to analyze the CVEs found, the unfixed CVEs we found through the CVE Checker, and try to bring the best of both worlds together. And let's go to live demo. And for me, I never trust demos, so I have a couple screenshots in case the demo fails, but let's give it a go. Let me come over to, it's always hard to get out of this mode. Okay, go away, go away. Here we go. Okay, move the zoom bar. So this is the SRTool for Yocto Project. And this is something you can do yourself at home. And I'll give you the links later how to download this and to start running with this. So provide CVE Checker audits. And if you want to examine the CVEs in general, you can do that. The current working weakness enumerations, products reported, and the management of the system. These are the provided tools out front. So let's come in, let's take a look at the audits. So I've been running some audits for a couple weeks against the auto builder. And so I just started to do that. We can see from the release, not a lot of movement in the last couple of weeks. I think because of all the holidays and such. There was a lot of movement in Numbied, I can never pronounce that. Unfortunately, in the direction of adding another 12, 23 CVEs to the list. But this is where you can kind of see up front. This is a control panel. See how many unpatched CVEs per scan, how many ignored, how many patched, what releases was against, and just kind of a high-level summary. Let's jump into one. Let's do a master. Let's take a look what this looks like. So this is pretty much, this is the package view, and this is pretty much what the CVE Checker output looks like. It's the name of the package, the version, what layer came from, how many issues were found, how many specifically unpatched CVEs, and we can filter on that and take a look at, okay, so there's 1,000 we don't have to worry about. There's 27 we do have to worry about. Let's focus on those. So it kind of gives you a snapshot into those. That's good. Let's take an alternate view I created, which is called the CVE view. And this takes a look at the CVEs that were found, that were tracked by CVE Checker, 12,680. So Martha's done a lot of work tracking all that stuff. Let's take a look at the status. Okay, most of these we can ignore. 56 we do care about. Let's focus in on those. So we have data on those. Let's I bring in some of the information about from this about the severity and the score and such, and for both V3 and V2 because we often have to care about the old guys. So I keep that around. But let's jump into one and just see what happens. So this is the kind of drill in on the CVE of its information, a description. If there's any information from this, it's here. The normal stuff that you can find upstream at the NVD data site, the CWE, the CPE information about the package, GNU PG, and we track history so you can know who touched what when. But let's do some magic. Let's bring in our alternate sources because this is just NIST, but we can do better than that. So we'll give it a couple seconds. Pow. Okay, we got NIST, got MITRE. They never say anything. Debian, though, does say a couple things about this. Red Hat says even more about this. And Wind River, we're providing information. You can see what Wind River thinks about this CVE. And you can see we know that it doesn't affect earlier releases. Will not fix, ignore it. And we're looking at it for more current releases. Let's see what Ubuntu is doing. Ubuntu, they got a lot of information. You can check what they're doing. And the idea is we could add more and more alternate data sources. When you're triaging, you can use your own analysis, look at the summary information description, the links, pop those open, and the package enumeration. But you can also see what other people say to kind of quickly get to the resolution. And let's touch on this one, Wind River. Richard said, wouldn't it be nice if the members of Yocto Project would share their CVE information with Yocto Project in a faster time? This is that. Whenever we published a public database through our Trivia plugin, which I'll go into later, about what the status is on our CVEs we're reviewing, so that you can see what we have. And maybe provide hints to Martin and the team about how we feel about it, maybe touch base on those. Obviously, we try to push our fixes as soon as we can upstream to reduce our technical debt, but sometimes things are in progress or things may not have been pushed yet. This is a quick way to see what it is. So a quick question, can one build only locally? So the server doesn't care. You could upload your local build to a remote SRT server, or you can grab someone else's data. I gave the example of grabbing the auto builder's data. I'll show you more about that information. Let me come back to that screen, in fact. So part of the features under management is import manager. The auto one built is upload, but we can I added one here for auto builder. It's just a Git repository. And here's the path. And under there are the directories that name the different releases, which you can then turn into a pull down list. I've also support SSL if you have it over at SSL server. If it's a local file or local directory, I support that. Many different use cases. So you can really set it up. And when you do that, if you go to new import, oh, let me log in. Oh, I haven't logged in. New import. Oh, I'm the management page. Sorry, let me jump back here. Audits, new add an audit, and then you can automatically you'll find the subdirectories and you can select any of those and just start running a build, or you can just do an import or all those. That's how I created each of these. So, and you can do this too at home. So that's kind of a quick summary. Oh, let's do one more thing just for fun. Let's look at the sort. Let's look at the master. Let's look at a generate report. We generate everything. These are selectable. It takes about 15 seconds to generate the whole thing. So we're counting. We're counting. Maybe just a moment. Oh, one of the things I'm looking at is maybe exporting data is the VEX format. That's a common format they're proposing for sharing CVE information. It's tightly coupled with SBOM stuff. And this may be a good exchange format for CVE information. Let's take a look at what we have. Jump over to Excel. And here's a summary of the audit. The information from CVE Checker. Showing how it falls out to the different severities. Wind River Management likes to see the severities in color. Package summary, this is pretty much what you see from the raw data from CVE Checker, and then the unpatched results. This is where you can see the unpatched CVEs for analysis. And in this view, I go ahead and include the severity, but also the hints from different suppliers. In this case, Wind River, Trivy, and we can add more so that you at your leisure start reviewing and start comparing results. So we can do more around this. It's just a start about what we can do to help the triage process. And the big problem we have is that we have expert, but maybe that expert isn't available someday, or maybe in the Yocto project, we want to get more people helping triage. And so we want to give them the tools so you don't have to be an expert to be able to really help triage the information. So that's my big worry, losing our experts. So trying to capture that information into tooling. Okay, let me turn to presentation. So that's a quick presentation on that. Let's jump to the slide where you can do this yourself. Let me go back to full screen. Here it is. This link is in the slides. You can download. If you go to that page, you see how to contribute, how to download, how to install it, and start doing your own analysis of CVE Checker scans. And if you want a personal demo or learn how to adapt this to your own company, just contact me. I'm happy to do it. Okay, let's move on. Now here's the big topic I wanted to bring up. CVE scanners, reputation, and money. Big deal for us. Package versions and frozen package versions. I want to talk about a proposal for a vendor PR, yet another extension, but we feel it's really warranted. Proposal for how we deal with commercial CVE scanners and the customers that demand those. And then, of course, touch on what's beyond package version, which was talked about in previous presentations, but I'll dive into that a little bit. Hash equivalency, SBOM, PDX to save the day, leads the future. So let's get going. So CVE scanners, big market for those. There's a lot of big players out those, Black Duck, Tenable, and of course our own CVE Checker. They typically use package versions to determine if something is vulnerable to CVE. In this case, I give the example curl, vulnerable to 8.1, 2-2, but not in -6 for that particular CVE. And given the heightened awareness, customers and their customers are trying to write contracts that demand CV scanning, that demand CV analysis. And because our customers are people like hospitals or robotics or automobiles, and they have to have security, and contracts are written that way. So we have to be able to provide that information. And because of this, real money is at risk, and adoption and reputation and all that stuff. Frozen packages. Normally, if you have a CV, you just up rev, get the latest version, everyone's happy. CV scanners are happy, customers are happy. But for example, when River and other commercial partners, we do releases, we do LTS things, we do stuff, and we cannot just simply always update to the latest version. So because the ABIs, we had to keep consistent, we had to LTS obligations, and a lot of other considerations. So we often have to freeze the package version. What do? We got to still fix a CVE. So we do backport the fix or directly create a fix ourselves, but we have to keep the our package version the same because that is not owned by us. So what do? We know it's fixed, but CV scanners do not. Lead into false positives and poor perception of an actually secure image. So we propose adding for Yocto Project, and I like to say at the very beginning, I think I said it, proposal for discussion for a comparison of ideas. So this is just putting it out, this idea, the problem, and potential solution. So we just want to kind of get that going, that talking. So take everything in that context, please. So PV, owned by upstream. PR is owned by the package maintainers within the Yocto project. We proposed another extension, vendor PR. What happens after the maintainer, specifically with us vendors? And this will provide the ability to fix CVEs, update the package version in a custom manner, but preserve the base package version. Again, not owned by us. And presumably, when we as a vendor would submit the patches back to Yocto project, that goes back into the pool, the maintainer could then either just take it as is or assign a new PR number to it and then redistribute it. So that way it's very clean and we can just pick that up and drop our own version as it should be. And by supporting this at the feature build level, all vendors could share the same tooling. I think the more we can leverage, as always, common tooling, the better for everybody and reduce technical debt. Examples of it already in the real world. This is what Amazon, Photon, Red Hat, Ubuntu do. Whenever there's an uprev, in this example, there's a CVE, the package where the problem was found, where presumably the version that's fixed. And you can see Amazon, they have their extension. Photon, I guess this means Enterprise Linux 9, Ubuntu 3. So that's how they do their extensions on package names, and that's how they track perfect releases. And sometimes they can uprev the version of the package, here in this case curl -2 to -6, but sometimes they have the same problem that WinRiver has. They have to freeze the package version, in this case 19 and 19. And so the only differentiation is the vendor PR at the end. So, and it's just a quick sample I took off of some data I had. So this is also potentially useful for Yocto project itself, even though you got your PRs. Yocto project, perhaps here's an example, recipe maintainer might update a recipe for PV 167, but the project has stopped maintaining the 1.6 branch. What do? You want to backport a 1.7 fix and then use a vendor PR inside a Yocto project against this frozen branch, and that way you can track the CV fixes and in a blessed manner. So this could be leveraged by not just us, but others. So going on. Here's the other side. So the first one is to propose how you can fix it on the production side, the supply side. We can have clean package versions that would apply, where we could have, of course, again, the PV is by the upstream, the PR is by Yocto project, and the vendor ID by the vendors. How do we get this information to the CV scanners in the world? It's a problem. The very few of the scanners allow custom input of data because it's their turf. We have to, often they generate reports like Black Duck customers, they produce the results. all the false negatives. We give them what's really fixed. They have to go through and manually set, okay, this one's okay, this one's okay, this one's okay. They hate that. That's what we have to do. And this is a hard time to sell that. Maybe they'll start accepting common formats by VEX, but they do not today. So as a community, perhaps you can help get these commercial CVEs to accept information from Yocto Project-based releases, distributions that can accept these kind of information like vendor PR and such. And with that, all of our customers and customers of Yocto Project-based distributions can leverage and show how good Yocto Project really is, all of our hard work in fixing CVEs. And WinRiver specifically, we have experimented with the open source scanner Trivi. We're able to train it to understand our package versions and enhancements that we've been doing, using this big time within WinRiver, because again, we have hundreds and hundreds of containers that we have to maintain, both internally generated and externally imported. So we've been talking to other big people about accepting this kind of data, but it's hard. And so I'm hoping, and this is a call for a proposal action, that maybe as a community, we can change the perception and get these big scanners to understand the Yocto Project-based distributions and really play where we deserve to play. And this all, again, table stakes for a lot of our customers. If we can't do this, it's a barrier to adoption. Thirdly, promote CVE Checker as the native Yocto Project aware CV scanner, and kind of move it from solving today's problem in Yocto Project to solving our customers' problems. And to help that, I think, gather evidence and testimonials how CVE Checker compares, because the customers will need and demand evidence that is good. And WinRiver has done a lot of this work already. We proved that Trivi is very comparable to the big other scanners. And so we can get the Yocto Project, CVE Checker, all that stuff up to that level, then I think we are competitive, and provide that as a way to give our customers the confidence. We should also promote ways for the members of Yocto Project to share their CV status more in real time. And I'm giving it WinRiver's Trivi public repository as an example of that, which is ready today. And so that the people doing the hard work of fixing Yocto Project can move it faster and faster, at least know who to talk to if they need help, and see what the status is, and promote maybe exchange within Yocto Project the members, or how we can exchange that kind of information. There's a couple ideas. Future. I'd rather play in the future. Unfortunately, I had to solve today's problem because that's where the money is in the industry. The root problem is that we're trying to understand the content of packages, and package version is only a proxy, and often a weak proxy. So the future is what we've been talking about in other sessions in this summit: hash equivalency, SBOM. These are places where Yocto Project is strong and leading, and hopefully we can perhaps help change the industry. I'd love to, maybe, for example, we've been talking about maybe teaching Trivi how to work with SBOM instead of package versions in its analysis. And if we could supply that SBOM information and maybe help contribute to that open source scanner, maybe we can change the world and use where the real fixes are. Again, hash equivalency, SBOM. One advantage of package versions is that if you have a version that's greater than the quote fix version, it probably also has a fix. With HE and SBOM, they're kind of more hashes, so we probably have to start looking at providing hash tables of fixes per CVE. But that's kind of the stuff we can look at as we move closer to our binary distributions, more support for the outside world, more getting support for customers to see the all the value we put into fixing CVEs.